Welcome to Sports Guy Talking. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Arch Manning, who is the nephew of both Peyton Manning and Eli Manning. He is also the son of Cooper Manning and the grandson of Archie Manning. Arch Manning committed to Texas back in June as he will be a member of Texas football in 2023. Arch Manning has been one of the most followed recruits in quite some time. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So, here it is. What are my takes on Arch Manning? Well, I'm going to go ahead and give a summary about him as a recruit, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about what I'm expecting from him and from Texas. All right, so Arch Manning, he's a 6'4" quarterback. He's 215 pounds. I'm hearing that he's got the potential to grow 10 or 15 more pounds in the weight room. So that's going to take him to 225, 230 pounds range. So that's what I'm seeing in Arch Manning. So he's going to be 6'4", 230. You know what? That sounds like pretty good size to me. Now, Arch Manning, he's played 27 games in high school. Okay. Arch Manning's completed about 65% of his passes. He's thrown for over 5,000 passing yards, 72 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. He can also run a little bit too. He's got 17 rushing touchdowns. I could go on and on about the stats, but you guys could look it up yourselves. Arch Manning has been incredible statistically speaking. He's been one of the most dominant quarterbacks in high school. Now look, Arch Manning, he committed to Texas over suitors such as Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Clemson, and Virginia. Those were some programs that were in the serious running to get Arch Manning, but now they're not going to get him. Now Texas will be the ones that end up getting Arch Manning. All right, so let me go ahead and give you guys background about Arch Manning. So Arch Manning is currently the star quarterback at Isidore Newman High School. It's a school in New Orleans. All right, he's entering his senior year in high school, so he's not old enough to be in college yet. Now, like I said, he puts up incredible numbers, and he's been considered to be a top flight prospect since middle school. Everybody seems to know who Arch Manning has been basically as soon as he turned into a teenager. Now, look, the Manning family has been insistent on keeping his recruitment process low key. All right, they don't want media presses hanging around that guy just because of the fact that they feel like he's not ready enough to do so. And the fact that he's only a teenager, they don't want him getting so much media spotlight. They feel like he's got all life to focus on that. They're just trying to let him be a kid. Now, look, his Instagram is private, all right? He doesn't necessarily let random people go ahead and follow him. He doesn't post stuff just to let other people like his photos, all right? So he really only lets friends and coaches follow him. Now, he's not involved in name, image, and likeness opportunities as far as we know. So he's not involved in that. You can't say that about a lot of other prospects. Despite that, Arch Manning has been considered the top player in the class of 2023. So the point is, Arch Manning, the way he's been recruited, they're trying to make sure that he's getting recruited like it's the Knights and 70s, good old-fashioned recruiting. And he's just been a traditional guy. He's not really one of those guys that post stuff on social media to try to go viral. All right, so something else that I feel like you guys need to know about Arch Manning is that he has a close friend that he's been hanging out with since he was a little kid. His name is Will Randall. All right, he's a 3-star tight end. He's committed to Texas. He actually committed to Texas before Arch Manning committed there, but Arch Manning did that on his own. But it's just nice that Arch Manning is going to have a guy that he's already familiar with from high school. So the connection is going to be there. That Arch Manning to Will Randall combination, I can't wait to see it. The connection will still be there. There's something to be said when you have a best friend that you can hang around with, throw the ball with, and to be able to have that at the collegiate level, man, that's just incredible to see. And I want to quote this from his high school coach, Arch Manning's high school coach. All right, so he says, quote, he made this decision on his own. This was his decision to make. The name is Nelson Stewart, by the way. That's Manning's high school coach. I'm just happy he's where he needs to be. He's an 18-year-old kid. There was a lot on his shoulders. Took his time and showed a lot of maturity. When it comes to that family, the choice was his. And I truly believe that, because if it was the Mannings that made the choice for him, they would have picked him to either go to Ole Miss or Tennessee. My bet is they probably would have picked Ole Miss just because of Archie Manning and Eli Manning, the fact that Cooper Manning was going to go to Ole Miss as well. Had it not been for serious football injuries for him, I know Peyton, he went to Tennessee, and there was so much backlash at the time when Peyton Manning, that is, decided to go to Tennessee. But ultimately, he became a Tennessee legend in there. But I'm getting off topic. I want to get back to Arch Manning. Arch Manning, now he's selected Texas. Now I'm going to give about the family background. All right, so I mean, look, Arch is going to be carving his own path. He's not going to have to repeat what his relatives did for their schools. So he's not going to have to be lining up at Ole Miss and try to repeat some of the legendary stuff that his uncle and his grandfather did. Or he's not going to be lining up at Tennessee and try to repeat what his other uncle, Peyton Manning, did. I mean, Peyton Manning, he's one of the great quarterbacks in the NFL. He was a great quarterback in college, too. So you just look at some of the stuff that what they were able to do. Arch Manning is going carving his own path, try to recreate his own legacy at Texas. Now remember, like I've been saying, the Manning family, they have strong ties to Ole Miss and Tennessee. But the good news is for the SEC fans, for fans of the SEC, he will still be involved with them because Texas is going to be joining them in 2025. Arch Manning is going to have plenty of time to go up against those type of competitions. So for the people that wanted to see the Manning family stay in the SEC, you got your wish. Now, I want to also point out something from ESPN. So here's an anonymous coach who recruited Arch Manning, according to an ESPN article. So the excerpt says, how good is Manning? One coach who recruited him told ESPN that he would likely still be the number one player in his class if his last name were something other than Manning. It says, quote, he does have a big arm, the coach said. He's a lot more mobile than what people are giving him credit for, than what everyone thinks. That's what he's saying. He's not like a Manning who can't move. He can get out of trouble. He's not a statue in the pocket. He played basketball and he can dunk. That's basically what he said, more or less. So I want to give some background facts about this. Now, you have to remember that Arch Manning is the first number one overall recruit in ESPN 300 era since 2006 to make official commitment to Texas. Now, he's also the first QB Texas has had ranked in the top 20 since Garrett Gilbert in 2003. So this is a pretty big deal for Texas, considering that Texas football has been on the decline. To be able to grab a player like Arch Manning, it's very good for the program. And I also want to quote this as well. This is from an anonymous coach who recruited Arch Manning. He says, quote, he's a prototypical kid that can see the field well. He's not going to make bad decisions and not make bad plays worse and will truly run the offense. Well, I'll say this. If he's anything like Peyton Manning, partially that is, he's going to be a conductor in the offense and he's going to make things work. So if they can get a fraction of that, that's going to be a really, really, really good quarterback in Arch Manning. That's what I'm trying to say. And for Texas. Now, look, why did Arch Manning commit to Texas? People are wondering why. Now, look, preparing Arch Manning for the NFL has been a primary motivator. They're not here to have a good collegiate career. They're not even here to have a solid NFL career. They want him to be a future number one overall pick that will end up dominating the NFL for years. And they felt like him joining Texas would be his best bet to do so. Now, look, the Manning family, they also built a strong relationship with Texas QB coach A.J. Milwee. He's the quarterback's coach. Everybody knows that when you're a quarterback, you have to have a strong relationship with your head coach, your offensive coordinator, and your quarterback's coach. The fact that they already have strong relationships with Sarkisian and Milwee, very impressive stuff. Now, he played a big role, the Manning family, and the Texas QB coach. They also played a big role in sending Arch Manning to Texas. I mean, quarterback coach and the quarterback, they need to be clicking on the same page. The fact that they're already seeming to click on early on, that's good for them. So that's what I think played a major factor in that. So those were just some of the reasons why I think that Arch Manning went ahead and joined Texas with them, because they believe that he's more likely to become a future superstar over there more than any other school. I tend to 100% agree with that. Now, look, what's the expectation out there? All right, so Arch Manning, he's a key building block for the 2023 recruiting class. All right, skill players such as wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs, they're going to be expected to be attracted to playing with Arch Manning. I know if I was a skill player and if I was a wide receiver, I'd be like, hey guys, I need to do whatever it takes to make sure I end up on the same team as Arch Manning, because Arch Manning is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in college football a couple of years from now. Now, look, I'm also hearing that Arch Manning is projected to be Texas's starting quarterback in 2025. I'm actually thinking it's probably going to be 2024, especially if Quinn Ewers leaves early. I'm going to talk about him a little bit later in this video, but I'm expecting Arch Manning to be playing sooner rather than later. And I also want to note that 2025 is when Texas is slated to make the debut in the SEC instead of Big 12. So they're going to be making a big transition in that regard. So those are just some expectations out there. Now, what's to expect out of Arch Manning? What are some reasonable expectations for him? Well, he has the reputation that he's a gym rat who loves the game of football, who's also obsessed with the game of football. Well, I'll be able to say this. His uncle Peyton Manning was beyond obsessed with the game of football. So if he learned anything from Peyton Manning, he's going to be that, because Arch Manning, he knows how to study the game of football. I'm sure his uncles have told him how to study the game. And Arch Manning, if he's obsessed, that's just totally great for him. I think that's a realistic expectation to expect from him. Now, coaches who have recruited Arch Manning were impressed with his work ethic. They were wowed by what he was able to do. Now, Arch Manning is also known to have embraced the details. He notices all the little things. When you're a professional quarterback in the NFL, you have to be able to notice certain kind of things. And that's exactly what he can do. Also in the collegiate level as well, you have to know certain details when reading defenses, knowing the plays, things like that. And the biggest quote unquote concern is competition level in high school compared to college football. I mean, they're wondering how can Arch Manning handle the transition, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be fine with it. Plenty of quarterbacks, they jump from high school to college and they don't miss a beat. I believe Arch Manning is going to be the same way too. Now, here's also another anonymous coach who recruited Arch Manning. He said, quote, "What I've been impressed with him is him living with the pressure. He's got to live with that pressure and deal with all that. That may be a good transition for him. He's been doing it his entire high school career. No stage is going to be too big." And what I'm going to respond to that anonymous coach is that I 100% agree with him. He's got more pressure than your typical kid just because he's a Manning. If you're a Manning guy, everybody's going to be looking at you and expecting you to be the next big thing out there. I mean, look, if it's a regular 5-star recruit that's been playing amazing in high school, there's always going to be pressure on him. But something like Arch Manning, there's going to be beyond pressure on the guy to perform because everybody's going to be watching him carefully. The general football fan is going to know who Arch Manning is. Even if you don't follow college football at all, you're going to know who Arch Manning is just because you know about Peyton Manning, you know about Eli Manning. All right, so what's to expect out of Texas? Well, Arch Manning's commitment gives Texas a player that they can build around for their transition to the SEC. All right, because they're making a pretty big jump from the SEC, from the Big 12 to the SEC. Now, look, Texas, they still have a long way to go with competing with the middle of the pack in the SEC. Here's an example. Texas, they got blown out 40-21 to Arkansas last season when they played against the SEC team. Arkansas isn't even that good in the SEC. They're middle of the pack. And the fact that Texas got blown out to them, that means that they have a big ways to go in terms of catching up to them. So let me take over some context of information. What does this recruitment mean? What does this mean? This means that this was a must-have, huge win for Texas head coach Steve Sarkisian. Now look, Texas, they're coming off of a 5-7 season, including a home loss to Kansas. Now look, Steve Sarkisian, he's one of the country's top QB tutors. He's known as one of the best offensive minds in all of college football, particularly at the quarterback position. That made Texas a big quarterback destination place. That's how they were able to lure Arch Manning in. Now, Sarkisian also calls plays for Texas offense. So he's basically more or less their offensive coordinator as well as head coach. He's got total control in Texas. Now look, he's coached Tua Tagovailoa, Mac Jones, and Matt Leinart as they've ended up being future NFL quarterbacks. So he's had a pretty successful track record of getting quarterbacks to the NFL. And Steve Sarkisian, he's already had 2 stints as an NFL assistant that's on the Raiders and Falcons. So he already understands a little bit about how pro ball works. So he'll be able to teach Arch Manning as well. Not everybody can have the affordability to coach Arch Manning, but Steve Sarkisian is one of them. So that's very good for them. Now, Texas's QB room right now is very competitive right now from what I've seen. They already got a transfer from Ohio State. His name is Quinn Ewers. He was considered the top QB in the recruiting class of 2021. So he's a very good player. I expect him to be the starter for Texas, and he's going to be a high impact player for them. 80% of Quinn Ewers is better than a lot of collegiate quarterbacks. Then there's also Malik Murphy. He's an ESPN 300 recruit in the class of 2022. I don't expect him to be too high on the depth chart, but he's a guy that can definitely play. He's got potential. And then there's Hudson Card, a guy that seems like he can play at the collegiate level. He's ESPN's number 2 recruit in the class of 2020. So he's definitely got the ability to play. So when Arch Manning joins with them come 2023, he's going to join a very competitive quarterback room. I don't see him becoming a starting quarterback for them right away in 2023. I think he's going to end up playing in 2024 though, because Quinn Ewers, he's going to play well the next 2 years for Texas, and he's going to declare early for the 2024 NFL draft. Therefore, Arch Manning is going to become the starter because you're not going to keep a guy like Arch Manning on the bench too long. He's too good of a player to have him sit for 2 years. He's going to end up playing by his redshirt freshman year. Bucket, that's what I see in him. He's going to be a future superstar in the making. So that is why Arch Manning is going to be really good, as he will definitely become one of the best quarterbacks in college football. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That will be for the @DustinTran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @DustinTran and Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter at Dustin Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel Sports Guy Talking.